An aid flotilla carrying food, medicine, and volunteers on a mission to Gaza has reported coming under repeated drone attacks as it made its way toward the eastern Mediterranean. The Global Sumud Flotilla, as it is called, is a coalition of activists and humanitarian workers from multiple nations who are determined to challenge the blockade of Gaza by delivering supplies directly. According to organizers, drones dropped explosive devices and unidentified objects onto several boats, damaging vessels, jamming communications, and forcing emergency maneuvers. Despite these incidents, the flotilla pressed forward, though the situation for the more than 500 participants on board quickly became perilous. Passengers described a chaotic night marked by loud explosions, broken equipment, and uncertainty about what might come next. Italy was the first to act. Rome announced it was dispatching a naval frigate to the region. Officials said the mission was to ensure the safety of Italian citizens aboard the flotilla and to provide rescue if conditions deteriorated. Italy's leaders condemned the drone strikes as unacceptable and called for an investigation into who carried them out. At the same time, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni urged flotilla participants to reconsider continuing their voyage into a war zone, suggesting instead that aid could be transferred through safer channels under Italian supervision. Spain soon followed. Madrid confirmed it would also send a naval ship to support the flotilla, prepared to assist Spanish nationals and coordinate with Italian forces in potential rescue operations.
El gobierno de España exige que se cumpla la ley internacional y que se respete el derecho de nuestros ciudadanos a navegar por el Mediterráneo en condiciones de seguridad. Por eso les informo de que mañana mismo zarpará desde Cartagena un buque de acción marítima equipado con todos los medios por si fuese necesario asistir a la flotilla y realizar algún rescate.
Both governments made clear that while they respected the humanitarian intent of the mission, their top priority was ensuring the safety of citizens facing danger at sea. Sweden also expressed concern, acknowledging that several of its nationals were aboard the flotilla. Calls for international action have grown louder, with European lawmakers and humanitarian groups demanding protection for civilians and accountability for the attacks. The United Nations has urged a full, impartial investigation, and human rights advocates have framed the incident as part of a wider pattern of intimidation against aid efforts bound for Gaza. Israel has reiterated its position that no aid flotilla will be permitted to dock directly in Gaza, citing security concerns and the need to maintain its naval blockade. Officials said humanitarian cargo could be delivered through controlled ports, but flotilla organizers rejected these offers, insisting that the blockade itself is unlawful and that their mission is both symbolic and practical. This standoff has become more than a question of aid delivery. It is now a contest over maritime rights, humanitarian principles, and international law. The crisis unfolds against the backdrop of ongoing military operations in Gaza, where recent escalations have left hundreds dead and intensified global scrutiny of the humanitarian situation. European governments, Canada, and Australia have voiced alarm over the growing civilian toll, while families of hostages inside Israel express fear that continued offensives endanger their loved ones. For Italy and Spain, sending warships is both a protective measure and a political statement. It signals that European governments will not stand idle while their citizens are attacked in international waters. It also raises broader questions. How far can states go to shield humanitarian missions at sea? What responsibility do they carry when their nationals voluntarily enter conflict zones? And how will these moves affect already fragile relations with Israel? The global Sumud flotilla remains determined. Despite damaged vessels and the psychological toll on its passengers, its organizers vow to continue toward Gaza, saying that abandoning the mission would be a victory for intimidation. The next steps are uncertain. Whether the flotilla presses ahead, accepts an alternative arrangement, or faces more confrontations at sea, the outcome will set a precedent for future humanitarian efforts in contested waters. This episode underscores the dangerous intersection of humanitarian activism, military policy, and international diplomacy. As Italy and Spain send their ships eastward, the world watches to see if the mission ends in safe passage, forced diversion, or yet another confrontation in the long struggle over Gaza.